Today I'm going to show you guys how to backstab an Elden Ring. And I actually get this question a lot. I've been playing Souls games for a long time, and in the older games this used to be a lot more difficult to do. And in Elden Ring it's pretty easy to get a backstab, but a lot of people, have you ever been behind an enemy and you just end up swinging your sword like this by accident and completely mess it up, the backstab? Well, I'm going to kind of show you how to avoid that and get better at backstabbing. So you're obviously going to lock on, and we're going to start off with a crouch version first. And you're obviously behind the enemy. You obviously won't have this much time when you're behind an enemy that's actually moving. And I'll show you this on a moving enemy as well. But when you're behind the enemy, what I usually like to do is I like to just take one extra little step towards the back of the enemy as I'm about to press the R1 button to perform the backstab. So you're kind of like walking up, maybe you'll stop for a second and then you move forward, and then as you're moving forward you press R1, or you can do it all in one movement where you're just kind of moving in and you're still moving towards the enemy. If you start going around the enemy like this, then you're kind of moving a little bit too much. You just want to get that little movement forward as you press R1. So we're just going to do it right now, and we're going to move forward into his back and press R1, and you get the backstab. And we're going to do this from a standing position now as well. You just walk into the enemy, and because you haven't let go of the forward movement, you actually get the backstab to activate. You could do this with the lock on, and you can do this without any lock on as well. You can do it from pretty much any position whatsoever. Just get the back of the enemy, press R1 as you're moving in, and if you press other buttons, of course it's not going to work, so make sure you're just pressing light attack. For example, if I press heavy attack here, I end up completely missing. In that case, I don't actually end up killing the enemy there. If I press the other heavy attack, I'm going to end up doing a skill. So at the end of the day, you really want to just get that back area and just move into the enemy. As you can see there, I kind of went over a little bit to his side and I still got the backstab. So if you're using this little technique where you push the controller or push the movement just a little bit forward, you don't have to be directly in the middle anymore. You can be a little bit to the side and you can get the backstab. There I tried to do it a bit too extreme and it didn't work. So if you're over here, it doesn't seem to work. If you are just kind of here, I'm assuming it'll work. There we go. And as I said, it used to be a lot more difficult in the other games. Really quickly, I'm just going to show you doing it on moving enemies and moving targets and what happens if you get caught. Well, if you get caught, just kill the enemy normally, but you kind of like want to move around the enemy to the back. We move in, he sees me. Even if he sees me, I can still scooch around to the back, and as long as I'm holding the movement towards his back, I can still get it. So I'm kind of glad that he saw me actually, so you can see that this works even if the enemy sees you. You just scooch around the back of them, and as long as you're kind of moving towards their back with your stick or with your movement, then you can actually still perform the backstab. Now technically I wasn't trying to get caught by these guys. I was trying to do it without them seeing me, but we are going to try that again on another one. Now, another thing I want to mention is you can do this during fights, as you just saw, when the enemy can see you. If the enemy does a lunging attack and you get in behind them, you can get the backstab. So this actually works during fights as well, not just when you're sneaking up on enemies. I probably will get the sneak attack here. So as I mentioned already, the backstab in Souls games used to be very, very difficult to do. Depends on which Souls game you're talking about. Elden Ring, they definitely made it a little bit easier to get backstabs, but I still use this trick that it's not even a trick, it's just technique. I still use this technique that I've been using since the very beginning of my time with Souls games, and as you can see, it's quite effective. This area that I'm in, by the way, if you recognize it, if you're actually at this area already in your playthrough, you can get some pretty good farming here if you are using backstabs, and you can level up a few times depending on what part of your playthrough you're in. I won't show you exactly where it is on the map, because if you are looking up how to do backstabs, you probably haven't played much of Elden Ring yet, and you're just trying to refine backstab. Anyway, thank you very much for hanging out with us today. Let me know if you have any questions. A lot of people in the Souls community are going to be wondering, why the hell am I making this video so many years later after all the games came out? But I think a lot of newer players will definitely find this helpful. And yeah, let me know if you have your own techniques for backstabs in Souls games and from software games. Anyway, one last time, thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the next video.